Hello everyone, back at it again in my new Eddy Line Caribbean 12. The fall bite is just starting to heat up. It's a little hard to see, but off in the distance there I have a fish going after my fluke and I've got him on the line. I was throwing a couple different kinds of flukes trying to get these fish to come up. It was interesting. I went over them with my fish finder and I saw them schooled up. Started to fish for them and then they started coming up, chasing bait, in this case herring. And I threw a larger fluke at them in the morning. It was a Bass Assassin, a 5-inch Bass Assassin straight tail shad in the crystal shad color. And I've got a little bit heavier line on there, 20-pound braid, 15-pound mono leader. And so I can haul them in pretty quick. There's a boat on my left, and I'm just going to wait till he goes by, just so I don't have somebody fishing right on top of me. There, he's gone by. Nice little largemouth to kick it off. If they weren't on top and showing, I could pick off a few more on a Damiki rig. I'd say the fluke was better, all different kinds of flukes. Tried Z-Man flukes, Zoom Super flukes, the Bass Assassin like I mentioned. Early on it didn't seem to matter. When the sun got a little bit brighter they wanted something, I don't know, less bold, a little more natural, a little bit more translucent, a little bit smaller, that kind of stuff. But anyway, if they weren't showing in the early morning, I could pick off a few more with the Damiki rig. Sometimes they're all about the Damiki rig. Sometimes they'll actually move out of the way. You can watch them on the fish finder. They'll move out of the way. And so every day is a little bit different. On this day, they're pretty fired up. We didn't have any storms roll in, but there's some clouds rolling in, and that might have been enough to trigger a better bite. There's another largemouth. They're a little bit hard to see. You got to kind of pay attention. Sometimes I hear them popping bait before I actually see them. So you got to kind of keep your head on a swivel, listen for the pops, listen for the splashes. That's a better fish. Is that a smallmouth? I didn't get a good look at him. Yeah, I think that's a smallmouth. There's some good smallmouth in the mix too. There he is. Sometimes they take, with the bigger fluke, they take 2 or 3 tries to actually get the hook on the bigger fluke. That's because they have a smaller mouth. You can see the ripples on that one. So distance and accuracy count. I think I dropped him. I did. See if I can go back and hook him again. Yeah, but distance and accuracy count with this kind of fishing. If you can see them, chasing bait fish on top, you want to lead them. Just like, I don't know, just like striper fishing or even trout fishing. You know, you pay attention to where the trout are rising and what direction they're heading in. So if they're heading left to right, you lead them a little bit more right. Same thing with this kind of fishing. You try to lead them, see which way they're generally going. Sometimes it's just straight up and down. That's pretty easy. You just go for the center. If they're chasing bait left to right, you want to lead them a little bit right. And vice versa. If they're going right to left, you lead them a little bit left. But distance and accuracy definitely count. You don't want to, it's just sort of like saltwater fishing. Or any kind of fishing, really. You don't want to run right up on them and spook them because they are boat shy and they won't eat well if you run right up on them. So you want to kind of hang back a little bit, but when they come up, you want to get on them as fast as you can. And I don't mean get on them with the boat. I mean get on them with a lure. You know, I see sometimes in the salt, people will drive through blitzing fish and then try to fish off the stern. That's a really terrible idea. And I don't see that as often in freshwater. Sometimes you see guys trolling right through busting fish. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but sometimes you see it. It's more common in the salt. I don't know why. But anyway, you want to be a little bit stealthy. It's flat, calm, bright sun. You know, these fish are aggressive chasing bait, and they're aggressive maybe because of the front coming in, but they're not completely, you know, stupid. You can't just put your boat right on top of them when they're blitzing. So you want to hang back just a little bit. And as long as I could get on them, as long as I could reach them, they were pretty agreeable, especially early on. The first combo I had, I was fishing with 20-pound braid, 15-pound mono. As the sun got brighter, I switched to a clearer Fluke. I think it was a Z-Man jerk shads, a 5-inch jerk shads in the Pearl Glimmer or Smelt. I think they call it Smelt in the Z-Man lineup. Anyway, 10-pound braid on this one with 12-pound Yozuri hybrid leader. So it's just a little bit lighter, a little bit more subtle, a little bit smaller of a Fluke. And that seemed to, you know, get him to go again. If I made a couple casts into fish where I thought I should be getting bit, and for whatever reason I didn't get bit, I'd just change it up. I'd pick up the other rod or pick up another lure. You know, I can see them. They've got their mouths open. They're eating bait. I should be able to catch them. So if something isn't working, typically I'll just go to something a little bit more subtle, a little bit downsized, not as heavy a leader, not as heavy as a main line. Oh, that was kind of funny. I heard some fish, and I think they were off to my right. Started to paddle, and my Damiki rig was hanging over the side, and something ran up and ate it. I was just killing time waiting for the fish to show again with the Damiki rig. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch. You know, if you, with a little bit of practice, you can stay on the fish pretty much all the time, even if they're not showing. So, you know, if they're on top, you get the Fluke, top water, whatever. And then if they're hanging down 20 feet down, you can get a few more with a Damiki rig. But this isn't a bass, this is a pickerel. And I think it was the change in speed that triggered the pickerel. They like speed. So long, slimy pickerel. I got a rag behind me. I'm going to reach for that. Clean my hands off. Get some of that slime off of me. By the time I landed that pickerel, the bass were all done busting on top. But that's alright. There's a few more. A little bit later on. That's a nice smallmouth. He's coming right at me. Had to grab the rod to the other rod, my Damiki rod, to avoid it ending up in the drink. They'll keep you on your toes. That one jumped right in the boat. I was thinking about netting him or lipping him. Jumped right in the boat. I had one the other morning. He jumped over the boat. Behind me. Look at the fat gut on that one. So he's got my rods wrapped up. He's behind me. What a mess. Most of the time with the Damiki rig, I'm just shaking it. I shake it pretty aggressively. You can also use a technique, it's called moping, where you just kind of hang it above their heads and wait for them to come up. It really helps with this kind of fishing if you have a fish finder. Not so much for the Fluke, that's all visual, but for the Damiki rig, you want to see where the fish are in relation to the bottom, and a lot of times they're suspended up high if they're chasing bait in deeper water. But you also want to see how the fish are reacting to your lure and what specific, you know, shaking or moping or, I don't know, you play a little cat and mouse with them, it's going to work best. And every day is a little bit different. So I do a lot of shaking or pounding in place That's another largemouth. Nice one. And if they'll go for that, you know, I like that a lot. If not, you can hang it above their heads, and you can literally just put the rod down or hold it in your hand, and no shaking. Just hold it above their heads, and eventually one of them might come up and bump it. And if they bump it, then I'll try to pull it away from them, and a lot of times that'll get them to go. And sometimes, you know, you can hang it bait down 15 feet, and the fish will be in, I don't know, 20, 25, and they'll move 10 feet to come check it out. And a lot of times they bump it. You feel them bump it, and I don't know if they're checking to see if it's alive or not. And then the second take is usually when I hook them. And then there's the technique where you try to pull it away from them. Sometimes that works pretty well. Other times, you know, they just turn back down. You can watch them swim back towards, you know, lower depths or even bottom in shallower water. In 60 feet of water, they don't go back to the bottom. They go back down to 20, 30 feet. But sometimes pulling it away from them, well, getting them to chase, getting them, because they expect bait fish in the water to move away from them. They don't expect them to sit there and just get eaten. So a lot of times you got to pull it away from them to get them to react. Anyway, it was a fun morning. Thanks for coming along. Just like all my videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here this morning. Hopefully have some good success wherever you might be fishing around the country or around the world this fall. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!